Hey, I guess I should call this an open video for President Obama. So, dear Mr. President, perhaps it has escaped your notice that the people who actually voted you into office are not going to be voting for you the next time around. If this is not absolutely clear to you by now, I suggest that you hire some other advisors on your team. Basically, you have broken every promise, every campaign promise that you've made in terms of the big issues. And yes, you've done some minor things, had some minor achievements. But basically, you are the representation of pure double talk to any thinking person in the United States. And this does not just include me, and I consider myself a progressive. It also includes the opposition party, which basically wants to destroy any progressive thought process in the first place. But time and time again, you cave in to these pressures. And basically, you're not leading, you are not standing up for anything. Basically, you want to play the umpire between two competing ideologies when it is actually your job to stand for something, to advocate for something, and especially for the people who voted you into office in the first place. And you're not doing that. Your rhetoric does not match your policy, quite frankly. And any thinking person knows what is happening. Now, people may hate you because of your race, your unproven birth certificate, or whatever other idiocy is out there. That's not the point. The point is that you're not qualified to lead this nation when you hire time and time again the very people who are bringing it to its knees, namely the big banks, the big speculators, Wall Street, major corporations which are funding your campaign as we speak. And yes, of course, they're funding both campaigns, both Republican and Democratic campaigns. But rest assured, once you lose the confidence of the average American, and I believe you have lost it. I'm saying this very seriously. I believe you have lost that confidence by simply refusing to take any side whatsoever. You may think that you're the umpire of competing opinions, but that's not what presidencies are about. You should advocate for something. And if you can't stand for anything, if you can't advocate for any position whatsoever, always taking the middle road, which is not the middle road, by the way. It is a right-wing road. And by continuously acquiescing to preposterous demands he will not only lose the confidence of the people, but he will lose all respect that was there for you from the start. What it amounts to, Mr. President, is essentially a betrayal of your persona, a betrayal of your own values, such as they were portrayed in the media. And perhaps, it's not a betrayal because perhaps those really are your values. Namely, that the corporate elite is more wise or more powerful than anyone. You have no idea what this does in terms of building trust, because the trust has been completely destroyed. I can think of no better example in recent times than the differences between your campaign promises and I'm pretty educated. I know that you were a middle of the road guy. You weren't exactly progressive, but this complete betrayal is perhaps too much to take. I think that by your acquiescence and by your silence mostly on virtually any issue, you have failed the American people. You are also instrumental in basically destroying the values of the Democratic Party, I might add. It's not that they weren't already beholden to the corporate agenda, but you have added to this. You have basically added to this a whole lot. And there is absolutely no way that I will ever vote for you again. I will also persuade my Democratic friends not to vote for you ever again. This doesn't mean I'm gonna, vote for a Republican. It just means exactly what I said. It means that you have betrayed the ideologies which you were supposedly for. And if there is no difference between the parties anymore, differences in ideologies, then you know what? Why even have elections? It is an exercise in stupidity, basically. And some of us have actually figured this out, which is why we're not going to vote for you again. Doesn't mean our votes will translate to a Republican vote. No, certainly not. But rest assured, I think your leadership is non-leadership. You won't fight and come out for any issue if it actually involves a fight. You want to have all this bipartisanship because you're quite comfortable with it, you know. Let's keep the peace. At any cost. Even though that peace may cost millions of lives for ordinary people. People who are struggling to make ends meet. And you're giving in to Tea Party extremists. You know, they aren't even Tea Partiers anymore. Basically, they're Koch brothers plants within that whole movement. And you're continuously acquiescing these, I'm sorry to say, assholes. Okay? There's absolutely no way during the next election that I'm going to be pressed to vote for the lesser so-called evil anymore. The lesser evil, namely you, all that means is that the road to ruin is going to come a bit more slowly than the road to ruin otherwise. So you know what? I'd rather get it over with quickly. And then maybe the American people will wake up once they elect extremists into office and see what that's like. Maybe, actually, somebody in this country will wake up, because you have not led the way to wake people up. You led them into slumber and complacency and idiocy. To me, this is somewhat worse than not standing up for your principles. And I've never seen you do this, ever, when you were in office as the president. That's a sad reflection. Perhaps you can be better in the opposition once you're out of office, and once you realize what you have brought about